And it's different again this week
Exactly.
because and they're also the number 2 run defense in football. This is a group that likes stopping the run game.
Buffalo Bills could very well be rethinking the run against the New England Patriots, who are the second best in run defense in the league.
Patriots defense that plays a fair amount of 50 front.
And as we heard Chris Brown state, that the New England Patriots call a lot of 50 front defense.
Do you remember what your guys' approach typically was, kind of facing that 50 front? Like what typically did you like working against that with?
Before we listen to Hall of Famer Thurman Thomas's comments about how his 90s Bills attacked the similar style defenses in the 50 front, we have to understand what a 50 front defense actually is. We could see that there are 5 defenders on the line of scrimmage, 2 of which are linebackers, and the rest are really defensive tackles and a girthier, bigger defensive end. Starting on the left side of the screen, we have the W, which stands for will linebacker. Then we have the B, which is the buck or the second middle linebacker. The M is also the Mike or the middle linebacker. And the S on the other outside, on the right side of the screen, is the Sam linebacker. Moving into the interior on the left side, the E stands for defensive end, which again in a 3-4 scheme is usually bigger, more kind of like a defensive tackle. The N is the nose tackle, which is usually the biggest defensive tackle to fill up those holes against a run, and then the T stands for tackle.
We all know you caught your fair share out of the backfield. How did teams try to defend you, knowing how often they turn to you to do that? Because you can't put a linebacker on you.
Yeah. Well, you can't do that. Usually put a defensive back on me. Yeah. Or sometimes it was the it was a strong safety. They'll bring the strong safety down, which he was. Or sometimes it was a linebacker. It all depends on who the linebacker was. You bring in that 5th or sometimes even 6th defensive back.
Well, the Patriots play 3 safeties a lot.
On this particular play, we could see that the defense is calling a cover 3, and you could see that there's a single high safety with the free safety dropping back and the strong safety dropping to cover the flat. Now, if the Buffalo Bills do come out in this formation offensively, potentially with 2 running backs back there, but we've seen at times even Stephon Diggs line up at the running back position, we could literally have James Cook matched up on either a strong safety or James Cook matched up on the will linebacker, even the strong side Sam linebacker. We have to take a look at the New England Patriots roster, their depth charts, and understand what kind of players that they have over there. Thurman Thomas even said Jason Taylor, who only weighed 225 pounds.
When they ran toward him, he's a little guy. Put a 300-pounder on him, you're going to get movement if your tackles are Spencer Brown and Deion Dawkins. You're going to get movement, and that creates space.
A little bit smaller, like Micah Parsons, who the Buffalo Bills really pushed off the line of scrimmage. But is that who the New England Patriots have? Not necessarily, and I'm going to show you that in a second.
I think it was a combination of who was on the outside. If it was Jason Taylor, well, you know what? Probably more run at him. If it's Lawrence Taylor, I'm probably going to, if it's Lawrence Taylor, Pepper Johnson, or Harry Carter, it's like, well, pick your medicine.
Yeah.
Do you want to go inside or do you want to go outside?
Good luck.
It's different, but it's different with every football team.
But Thurman Thomas also spoke about Lawrence Taylor, who he went against, who was much better against the run, and it really wouldn't make sense running the ball right at him. Whether this was by design or not, but the Buffalo Bills versus the LA Chargers did not target any of our running backs once in the passing game. We literally have been in the past, but for whatever reason, we decided not to versus the Chargers. My first thought here was that James Cook was sick going into the Chargers week, maybe didn't practice as much, and just like we heard Leonard Fournette when he first came to Buffalo, that the passing concepts take a little bit more time to get down. I'm not saying that James Cook didn't have the passing concepts down, but to grind out those schemes during practice, during the week, maybe James Cook really didn't have enough practice time for Joe Brady and Josh Allen to feel comfortable enough to be passing the ball like crazy against the Chargers. No running back had any targets going against the Chargers. And yes, Ty Johnson was out. It was the first game for Leonard Fournette. Latavius Murray really isn't necessarily a receiving type back. but he could still do it. And going back to the Cowboys game where the Buffalo Bills ran it down their throats, was dominating this game from the very start to the very end, we still targeted our running backs in the passing game 4 times. James Cook had 3 targets. Even Ty Johnson had a target. The Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills were implementing our running backs in the passing game with 8 total targets. James Cook with 5, Latavius Murray with 1, and Ty Johnson with 2. Hearing Thurman Thomas talk about the matchups and when he went against teams, if he was matched up on a safety or sometimes even another nickel corner, he didn't feel as confident going against that as if he was matched up against a linebacker. And as I showed you in that 50 front, who Chris Brown said the Patriots are calling a lot of, the Buffalo Bills and Joe Brady could definitely scheme things up to get James Cook matched up on a linebacker. And how exciting would that be? Maybe the Buffalo Bills opt to not run the ball as much and start to rethink their running attack against the Patriots and maybe utilize these running backs in more pass-catching situations. So I want to dive deep into the Patriots roster, and even Mitch Morris said they do a great job of mixing things up and presenting a lot of different things. But that 50 front that they call the majority of the time, we have to take a look at the players and matchups against the Buffalo Bills. And this article before the season started broke down the projected lineups on offense and defense for the New England Patriots. And when you take a look at their base personnel on defense, they call it their base nickel run defense, and ultimately who they want player personnel wise in the game in these situations. What we have to take a look at are the outside linebackers who could be matched up on James Cook, our running back, as well as the nickel cornerbacks that could as well be lined up on James Cook. This article tells you that Jack Jones last year was the 7th best rookie in the NFL last season, and you could see that Jack Jones was the nickel cornerback for the New England Patriots. And this article talks about Jonathan Jones being re-signed to the New England Patriots to bolster the nickel position. So looking at the New England Patriots roster, we have to understand that Jonathan Jones could very well be in that nickel position if they decide to call nickel. And per this graphic, if they are in that 50 front, which, as I mentioned, Chris Brown said they are in the majority of the time, we have to take a look at those outside linebackers who could very well be matched up on James Cook. They have Jennings and also Matthew Judon, but Matthew Judon is down with an injury. Looking at the will linebacker, who's also questionable for this game, and then taking a look at their other outside linebacker, that's Sam linebacker, Josh Uche, we have to take a look at their overall size and see if they are ultimately matchup linebackers. Josh Uche at 6'3", 240 pounds, clearly a bigger type linebacker, highly doubting that he can keep up in the passing game against a running back like James Cook. And Jennings at 6'3", 255 pounds, a little bit bigger than Uche and less likely to be able to keep up with our running back, James Cook. And since Jennings is actually questionable this game, we could actually take a look at Marty Matpu. We could see that he's 6'3", 230 pounds, maybe a little bit quicker, being able to cover James Cook in the passing game a little bit better. And the proof is there that Marty Matpu is a very big, long, rangy style linebacker for the Patriots. In a game, they actually tracked him running at 19.9 miles per hour. There are definitely things that Joe Brady could do to get other matchups, even if Marty Matpu is out there, like motioning James Cook to the perimeter, motioning him to the opposite side of the field. So there are still ways to get around this matchup. We have to take a look at Jonathan Jones as well as Jalen Mills, who are both questionable for this game. And we can clearly see they would have to get out of that 50 front defense in order to get another defensive back out there. But Jonathan Jones is 5'10", 185 pounds. A very shifty, quick, agile, fast nickel cornerback, which would make a lot of sense to try to match up on James Cook. But we do know with Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid mixing between 11 and 12 personnel, if they do decide to roll out a Jonathan Jones to protect against a James Cook in the passing game, then the Buffalo Bills might be better off actually running it. Why not run it with Latavius Murray, who didn't get a carry last week? Maybe a Ty Johnson if he's ready to go, who's a little bit bigger of a style, or potentially Leonard Fournette. Jalen Mills is a little bit bigger, but he's only 6 foot, 200 pounds. And again, the Bills could definitely trample him in the running game with this Buffalo Bills offensive line. Deion Dawkins balling out of control. And then, man, are you kidding me? Latavius Murray, Leonard Fournette, Ty Johnson could definitely run over this guy.
Cook has been playing well. Murray's been playing well. Continue to let him get his reps.
Then there's a lot to consider here, and that's why I believe the Buffalo Bills and Joe Brady could very well be rethinking this running attack against the New England Patriots. And that's one of the reasons why we drafted Dalton Kincaid and we have Dawson Knox, to keep opposing defenses guessing, to see how they plan to play the Buffalo Bills offense. If they do come out in that 50 front defense, the Buffalo Bills might be better off suited passing the ball to our running backs, specifically James Cook. Now, if they do switch things up and call a little bit more nickel defense with Jalen Mills and Jonathan Jones, the Buffalo Bills could very well be more suited running the football. I'm not saying to not hand the football off to James Cook by any means. He's definitely the best running back on this team, but short yardage situations against a girthier, heavier type style defense of the New England Patriots, it might be better suited to hand the ball off to Latavius Murray, Ty Johnson, who, let me remind you, did not even get a carry last week and should be extra fresh for this game. And not to look ahead, but the Buffalo Bills are going to be playing the Miami Dolphins in Week 18. Maybe we keep James Cook a little bit fresh for that Week 18 matchup and a long run through the playoffs, potential Super Bowl for the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills offense is continuing to mix and match. We are ultimately doing what we do best, but also knowing what works against the opposing defenses. Hearing Thurman Thomas specifically talk about how they changed up their game based on the opposing defenses, depending on who was out there, player personnel-wise, they would scheme things up a little bit differently. So the proof is there that Buffalo Bills and Joe Brady could definitely be scheming up things a little bit differently against this New England Patriots defense, who ranks second best in the NFL against the run. Let me know what you think. Do you think the Buffalo Bills should start maybe rethinking this running attack against the New England Patriots? Do you really think it's based on how the New England Patriots decide to play us throughout the game? And I think the Buffalo Bills will be able to figure it out. We have dual-purpose offensive linemen. We have a dual-purpose quarterback. We have dual-purpose running backs with James Cook's ability to run it and catch it. I think the Buffalo Bills have every recipe we need to smother the New England Patriots. But I truly appreciate you guys all so much. If you enjoyed this video, it absolutely mean the world to me if you hit that like button. Consider subscribing, releasing videos each and every single day. Check the links down in the description. We have the BNC, the Buffalo Chicken Wing merch, long sleeve hoodies, red, blue, gray, black, free shipping, sizes small through 5XL, as well as Course Careers, who's now offering $100 off until January 1st on all sorts of online certificates to get you a remote job. But I appreciate you guys all so much. Hit like, subscribe, and go Bills.